Mic check, mic check, 1 2 1 2, mic check, 1 2 1 2. What is good? What is good? What is good, beautiful people? Of course, you know who I be. Good doc. Dr. Mike TV back again. Once again, you should always be aware and know that this one is poised to be an instant classic in the making. If this is by far your first time to the Dr. Mike TV experience, by all means, make sure you subscribe, notify, and do all the good things to make yourself well versed in the good docs content. All my good stuff should be listed in the links in the description area below. If you guys wish to get your International Passport Association certified member hoodie, that will be linked below the YouTube videos. And also the good doc is on Patreon. Just a couple of videos from the vaults that just didn't get a chance to make the cut on YouTube for a multitude of different reasons. So if you want to check that out, that's also in the description area below. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been back here in the United States for a couple weeks now. And when I was putting together a series of short clips that I was, making and filming while I was over there, and then kind of a couple when I came back, there was one clip that kind of stood out to me. And if I can get it, I'll clip it here, or you can find it in my list of YouTube shorts. I said something like 2005 in the Philippines was a time to be alive. 2005 was a time to be alive in the Philippines. That was my first time in country, first experience, and I loved it, bro. When I told you, or when I said in that video that you couldn't miss in reference to, getting women in the Philippines at that time, it was 100% true. There weren't as many foreigners traveling to the country. Like I said, I could go weeks or even months without seeing other foreigners. Of course, besides my dad and my brother, I could go months without seeing any other foreigner around in the city where we were in Davao. And it was just interesting at that time, right? Because it was like the world was yours. And as I started to just think momentarily about what the past was like for me, I kind of feel like I have just fallen in love with what the Philippines used to be. And I'm sure there's other people who have gone through things like this. It doesn't necessarily have to be for countries, but maybe a time in the past, or maybe you're in love with a certain era. Oh man, the 90s was the era, 2000s was the era, the 80s was an era, 70s was an era. And you kind of find yourself not necessarily stuck in the past, but let's just say stuck in the past. And this past trip to the Philippines, I was kind of explaining in a lot of the videos, guys, my patience for the traffic is non-existent. I can't stand that. I just cannot. I can't sit in traffic anymore. I'm impatient as hell. I'm angry all the time. Like, fuck, man, shit gotta hurry up. I got things to do. All right. But keep in mind, when I was a student there, I was in traffic on a daily basis for 45 minutes to an hour, traveling by Jeep back and forth, sometimes getting home at 10 o'clock at night, because we used to live out past the city limits in Davao, and we didn't take taxis because, of course, taxis were not within a college student's budget. But even though it was, but it won't. Back then it didn't bother me, right? I was in that. I was in the element. I was in the moment. Back then, I'm talking 10 years straight, man. It couldn't bother me because I was used to it, right? But I take myself out of the country, then bring myself back in, and now I'm back in, and I'm a little bit older. I got a little bit more money to my name. I ain't rich, but I'm able to do a little bit more than I used to. Now, all of a sudden, I'm starting to realize all the things that are pissing me off about the Philippines. Keep in mind, this is a country I love. Keep in mind, bro, I base my whole entire channel, the greater majority of it, at least 95+% of the content I put on this video, around my experiences in the Philippines. And again, I still believe overall that the Philippines is a great place to go. I still believe that it is a country that I could see myself settling in. But damn, if I'm not a little frustrated with the idea of moving there now and dealing with what I have dealt with this last trip, right? And it's nothing that's outside of the ordinary, right? I'm not sitting here saying that I dealt with something that I haven't dealt with before. I've dealt with it before. The problem is I've dealt with it before. I was able to deal with it. But now that I'm older and I'm back now dealing with it again, it just don't cut the mustard, bro. It don't hit the same. So when I say that I feel as though I'm in love with the past, I mean that. I think that what the Philippines gave to me, what the Philippines provided for me, the experiences, the chance to go overseas, the experience and study abroad and do things that most of my friends at that time would never do, right? And shout out to my dad for, and my mother for being able to provide that experience for me. Having those experiences, when I say it was the time to be alive back then, I meant it. But I cannot say that I still feel the same today, right? I can't say that I still have that same energy and passion for the country that once gave me and provided me a new life, right? And it doesn't mean that I'm just going to say, forget the country in its entirety. No, man, I still love the place. I do. I do. But I'm thinking now that the majority of the reason why I love it is what it did for me back then, not necessarily what it's providing for me now, if that makes sense. The reason I feel that I love the Philippines as much as I do is what I've gotten from it from the past, not necessarily in the present and where it might be going in the future, right? That's just the truth. Right, we're talking about my father who had a beautiful condo, nice little 34th floor looking over the city of Manila. Beautiful condos, and the price that time, you just what you couldn't imagine, right? When he got it, price was crazy, right? To looking at the quality of the builder now, right? Because I told you guys that I thought about going ahead and putting down a down payment on something, for me to be able to kind of put some money on it and eventually have something to come back to and live, when it was time to turn over. But then you go look at the quality of the builder, the past experience of the builder, the area, the location. Am I going to need a car? Do I not need a car? How far is it from the nearest mall? How far is it from conveniently from how conveniently located is the particular location of this particular condominium? Is it something that's already built? Are we just looking at the floor models, or are we really going to be able to go in and see what it could potentially look like once we lay it out and once we, furnish it and all that stuff? There's a lot that goes into it nowadays. And of course, you've always had to go through that experience, even in the past. But at the same time, because I have something to compare it to, it's kind of like, the materials are shoddy as shit. Right. And even staying in some of the Airbnbs that I stayed in when we were in Manila and in Davao, it was like I'm walking around the building and I'm like, cracks in the wall, bro. Like literal cracks. And yes, I know that it came from prior earthquake that had happened in Davao at the time, and they're just trying to get it right. But I'm like, the foundation of this building is starting to look a little shifty to me because you still got these cracks up. And I know I'm not saying that these cracks are going to be what leads to something dramatic happening. But when I'm looking at it and y'all still trying to fix this and this earthquake happened, I want to say at least a year or two ago, and y'all still ain't got to it. I'm sure the earthquakes happen in the Philippines all the time, at least in Manila. But every time that I go to the builder where my dad has his condo, they seem to be getting their shit together. Not all the time now. It's an older building, so you have to expect there's going to be some wear and tear. But when we're talking about a newer building that was built at least between, when was the last time I was there? 2019, 2018, something to that effect, up until now with 2024, like 4 years. So within the 4 year or 5 year span, and it's already having these particular issues. I'm like, damn, bro, that is a problem. You see, so when I tell you guys that I feel that I just might be in love or romanced with the past experiences that I had in the Philippines, I think it's really changing my perspective over time. And it's definitely making me question, Doc, is the Philippines where you truly want to settle? And I don't believe that I'm going to shake or break on that. But what I do believe, and this is the beauty of it all, it's now allowing me to open up my prospects or open up the idea of other places, right? So I've been going back and forth with my dad, my brother and shit, and there's some other places that we may consider settling, and it may not be the Philippines. I do believe it will still be in Asia. But at the same time, we just got to go and scout the location. That's just it, right? You hear good things about certain locations. It's like, hey, man, go check this out. See what this is about. See if you like it. See if you don't like it. If you don't, guess what? Philippines ain't going nowhere. I can get me a nice little studio, a nice little 1 bedroom. Me and the wife will be fine. I mean, it's okay, right? We do not require a lot of space. I.e., I don't really care to have a big mansion like my dad had when we were in Davao or something like that, called mini mansion, right? I don't care to have a big ass house because I don't necessarily think we're gonna get it made, right? We'll just clean up after ourselves. So I don't mind having a little spot, just a place for us to be able to put our bag down, lay our head down, and get around. You know. So maybe you guys feel different. Maybe you guys feel the same. Maybe you're like, hey, Doc, man, Philippines is still the Philippines, brother. It's gonna always be good to us. This has been good to us in the past. It's gonna be good to us in the future. Or you might say, hey, Doc, I feel where you're coming from, brother. Have you checked out this location? If you want to drop a couple of locations that you would recommend me look into as far as, let's say, places to settle in, that's not in the Philippines, I would love to hear what you guys got to say. Because at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, let's call it for what it is. Philippines is a great place, great experience to have a little bit of fun. But I tell you guys time and time again, it's not the place for everybody. It truly isn't. And y'all know that. It's not everybody's cup of tea. It's not everybody's forte. It's not everybody's, don't tickle everybody's pickle. Best way for me to say it. And I'm cool with that. I'm cool with it. So I would love to hear what you guys got to say, man. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, ladies and gentlemen. Linked in the description there below. All my good stuff. Like I said, y'all take care. Y'all stay blessed, man. Doc's on to the next one. Peace.